Okay. So today is semester 12. No, semester 1, session 12, I guess. On braided diffusion category. So last week we just started a new subsection in section 2, center of braided diffusion category. Okay, so you take a braided diffusion category C with braiding small c like that, and you consider the reverse braiding. So the braided diffusion category C hop, which is the same as the fusion category, but where the braiding is the inverse braiding, like that. So the usual one, you have the left string, which is above, and in this one, you have the left string, which is below. Otherwise, it's the same. So it's denoted C hop in this paper, but in EGNO book, it's denoted C rev for reverse, I guess. Okay. So now, so we have these two braided diffusion category. In fact, we will consider embedding of these two in the Drinfeld center. Then, see assignment. So X, an object map to. So an object X in C map to this, where C is the small c is the braiding of the category, but here, this notation takes the role of a half braiding when you consider the Drinfeld center. So here it's from C to the Drinfeld center. So as I said, this assignment extend to a braided functor from C to the Drinfeld center. You can do the same for the reverse braided fusion category. Similarly, the assignment X map to X. So this, you take this half braiding this way, extend to a braided functor from C up to the Drinfeld center. So these two functors are fully faithful, and you can induce from them a braided tensor functor from the Deligne tensor product of C and C hop to the Drinfeld center. Both functors are fully faithful. Together they induce a single braided tensor functor G from C Deligne tensor C hop to the Drinfeld center. Okay. Okay. So here, so later, so this will be considered later in section 3. So let me put the reference here, but it's for later. See proposition 373 and remark 38a later. Okay, we will see that later. In particular, so in proposition 3.7, we will prove that G is an equivalence if and only if C is non-degenerate. So in the premodular case, it means that C is a modular, and the premodular case is due to Muger. But here we don't need spherical structure. So we will prove that G is an equivalence if and only if C is non-degenerate. So in fact, when such a G is an equivalence, so if you define G as above, and you say G is an equivalence, this is a definition in EGNO book of the notion of factorizable. A notion which exists, a notation which comes from Hopf algebra theory. Factorizable. And in fact, the analog of modular for Hopf algebra theory is factorizable Hopf algebra. Ouais. And the analog of braided is, I already forgot. Hopf algebra is the R matrix, yeah, but based on the name. Quasi-triangular. Yeah. Quasi-triangular. In fact, so you have quasi-triangular for braided. You have triangular for symmetric, and factorizable for modular. Okay. Okay, so as I said, in the premodular case, this result is already due to Muger. For premodular category, this result is due to Muger 2003. Okay. Now, the new subsection dedicated to pointed braided category and metric group. So this is here where we will consider abelian group and what's the name? Bimultiplicative form, something like that. Quadratic form, etc. So, which will define the notion of premetric group. And so, in fact, as as I just said just before, I said the notation for the analog of symmetric, of braided, symmetric, or modular for off algebra. You have something similar, more restrictive, in the pointed case. So, which maybe should be covered by off algebra, but in the pointed case, you are reduced to group theory, to finite group theory, and pointed fusion categories of the form VEC-G. But when you consider a pointed braided category, you have the group, yet you have an extra structure called the premetric quadratic form with a bimultiplicative structure. So it's called the premetric group. So the analog in group theory, the analog of braided is premetric group, and the analog of modular is, or non-degenerate, is metric group. And the analog of symmetric should be trivial, when the quadratic form is trivial, but I don't think there is a name for that. Okay, so pointed, braided category and metric group. So first, we need premetric group, and for that we need the notion of quadratic form. Quadratic form on an abelian. So remember, we are in a braided. So braided means implied as a Grothendieck ring is commutative. So here, VEC-G, the Grothendieck ring of VEC-G is G. So we only need to consider abelian group. So let B and G be abelian group. Abelian groups. So denoted multiplicatively, we adopt multiplicative notation. Multiplicative notation for group operation. So the notion of quadratic form, following, for example, the paper by Joyal Street in 1993, the notion of quadratic form. Joyal Street, 1993. Quadratic form on G with value in B is as follows. So a quadratic form on G with value in B is the map. So Q. So let me write it. Q from G to B, satisfying following condition. Take. Okay. So first condition. Q of G inverse is equal to Q. And second condition, so you will, from Q, which is one variable map, we will make a two variable map. And the assumption will be that this two variable map is B-multiplicative. So the function BGH defined as QGH divided by QGQH is B-multiplicative. Look at this one. This one looks like the in Lando's theorem. You have something similar to that. I was not able to see whether there is really here we are in the pointed case, so it's far from the general case, but there is this kind of similar thing which is
Premetric group.
Premetric group. Premetric. So the function is B-multiplicative, where the function is B-multiplicative. So this function first, before saying it is B-multiplicative, let's say that is symmetric. The function is symmetric because since G is abelian. In fact, yeah, abelian. G and B, if you want to. Since G and B are abelian. So what I mean, if you take BHG, it is equal to BHG is equal to QHG divided by QH, QG. These two can be commute because B is abelian, and these two can commute because G is abelian. And so you get that. So it's really symmetric in the sense that you can exchange these two variables. Okay. So this should satisfy the condition called B-multiplicative. So is B-multiplicative. And because it is symmetric, we only need this to be multiplicative in one variable. The other variable will be automatic by symmetry. Meaning that for all G1, G2, H in G, you have the following thing. B of G1, G2, H equal B G1, H, no, BG1, H times BG2, H. And so you have the same for, so here we develop, in fact, for the first component, but you can also have the same thing for the second by symmetry. So you don't need to write. It's automatic by symmetry. The multiplicativity for the other component follow by symmetric. By symmetry, yeah, symmetric property, by symmetric property. Able. Okay. So this B this B will be called the B multiplicative form associated to the quadratic form Q. So we refer to B so from J cross Z to B as the B multiplicative form, B multiplicative form associated with Q. Associated with Q. Okay. In fact, we will be only interested in the case where B is the group of invertible elements in the field. So Q star, K star. So if B is the group of invertible elements in the field, for a field K, not in the field, but in a field, in fact, where we did not fix the field. In this case, it will be denoted a B character associated to Q. Then B, J cross J to Q cross like that, Q star, I don't know, K star, is also called the B character, the bi character associated with Q. Okay. Okay. So, and okay. So, we will not define Premetric group in this subsection. It will be the next subsection. We will finish this subsection quadratic form with some by showing some straightforward property on Q and B. So in the paper, they choose to do not write the details of that, but because it is straightforward, but still interesting. So I will explain why these properties are true. So first, before that, we just say that the quadratic form is non-degenerate if B is non-degenerate. You can see B as non-degenerate if you can consider B as a matrix where the entry are this. So if this matrix is invertible. And later, this will distinguish a premetric group from a metric group. And later again, we will say that the category associated to a premetric group, so we have a correspondence between pointed braided and premetric group. You can associate a pointed braided category from a premetric group, and it will be non-degenerate if and if the premetric group is metric. If and if this matrix is invertible. Okay, so you have, in this pointed case, you have a full understanding of what is braided, what is modular, non-degenerate, or symmetric. It's completely classified, completely understood. So, quadratic form Q is called non-degenerate if its associated form B is non-degenerate, which means that this matrix is invertible. The matrix BGH GH is invertible. Okay, so now a sequence of straightforward property for Q and B we will explain in more details than in the paper we are covering. So first, so we will see that Q of G power n is equal to Q of G power n. So you can put the power outside. So remember, Q is not multiplicative. What is multiplicative is B. B is B multiplicative, but Q, this Q a priori, is not multiplicative. So it's not true that QGH equal QG This is not true. What is true is you have this multiplicativity for B on each variable. It's B multiplicative. Nevertheless, we will see that you can, if it is just about power, you can put the power out. So this is weaker than multiplicative, but we still have that. You have that, and we will explain why. So it is straight forward to show, but we will still show that for any element in the group and number integer n, Q of G power n equal Q of G power n. So why this is true? So the details of that is as follow. So you take B. So first observe that Q1 inverse equal B1, 1. So let's show that. Let's see that. B1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So Q of 1, so Q1 inverse. So you have 1, 1, and 1. This is an element in the group. So there is no problem of 0. So you have 1, 1, 1. You can simplify that and that. So you are reduced to Q1 inverse. Okay, so this is okay. Q1 inverse is that. Now, 1 is the neutral element of the group. So 1 is equal to 1 times 1. So 1 times 1, 1. And now you can develop by B multiplicativity. It is B of 1, 1 square, which is Q1 inverse square. So you have something non-zero following the equation. In fact, we don't yet. You have something non-zero. So you can just simplify. Here you have 1. Here you remove. So you just have Q1 equal 1. So this is the first. So I guess in the past, this should be in the axiom, but in fact, you don't need, yeah, so people choose to do not put that as an axiom because you can deduce. But in fact, it is very natural to say that, to say Q1 equal 1. So you can deduce, so it's okay, you don't need to put that. Maybe it makes the thing more complicated than there. Just say that Q1 equal 1. But anyway, you don't need to assume that it's automatic. Then, now if you compute similarly for Q1 inverse, you do QG square inverse equal B of G square G inverse. So here, so let me show you here. G square G inverse. So G square G inverse. So here you get just G. G square G inverse. But G inverse and G are the same. Oh, here I forgot something. Sorry. I forgot. QG inverse equal Q of G. Sorry about that. So Q remains the same if you take the inverse inside. So it's invariant by taking the inverse inside. So now let me come back to what I said. G square G inverse. So this is G. G square G inverse. But this is the same as QG. So you can simplify. So you have G square inverse, like that. So this is equal to that, no problem. This is immediate. Again, you develop by B multiplicativity. You get BGG inverse square, which is BGG inverse is QG inverse, because it's square, you have square, so GG inverse. GG inverse. So G inverse. So 1. Q1 is 1. G inverse, they are the same. So it's QG like that. So it's okay. So you obtain, so you get, so it implies that QG square equal QG square. And by induction, etc. By induction, QGN equal QG power n. Okay. So this is straightforward in that sense. Okay. Next. So, because of this property, the notion of quadratic form as defined here align with the notion in align with Bourbaki's definition for Z module. Okay, so this is just a historic remark which is no more important than just historic. We will not use that. So, and this notion of a quadratic form align with Bourbaki definition of for Z module. So, if you never heard about Bourbaki before, Bourbaki is not a mathematician. Bourbaki is a name of a group of mathematicians in the 60s, I guess, the 70s. A group of French mathematicians attached to the very famous École Normale Supérieure. So one of the most famous, what I want to say, college in France, even if in France we don't say college. Is it college? Oh. Institution, yeah. So college is a preparation. You prepare yourself. So it's called a preparation class to enter to this kind of school. So the preparation class is the analog of college in France. But then this school, like École Normale Supérieure or École Polytechnique or something like that, this has no analog outside France. This is just some specific institution for, say, very, very good students, very, very competitive students. And otherwise, you still have university in France, but like university start is merged with the college. So you don't have college in France, but you start directly from university. But for very, very competitive students, you can have special school, preparation class, and then to with special institute like that. And Bourbaki is a group of students from this most famous school. And they wrote a lot of books on foundation of mathematics. And one of them contained this definition. Okay. Okay. So, second straightforward property. So this is not a property, it's a remark. Yeah. That you can provide example of such a Q by starting from a bimultiplicative form. You can make a Q, and then the bimultiplicative form of this Q will be the square of the initial bimultiplicative form. But so this is what we will say in this point. We will also say that not all Q can come from a bimultiplicative form. But all such Q give a bimultiplicative form B, but they don't come all from the bimultiplicative form beta. So you have two bimultiplicative forms, one coming before, but it's not always possible, and one coming after, which is always possible, but they are not the same. So not every quadratic form Q of G to B can be expressed in the form QG equal beta GG, where beta is not the same as B before. This is different. Where beta from G equals G to B is bimultiplicative. So I guess if you start from a bimultiplicative beta and you make a Q like that, this Q satisfies the property of quadratic form, but you cannot always not all Q are of this form. We will provide an example. Then exercise B GH equal beta GH square. So a good way to show that B and beta are not the same is just that if you take H equal G here, so G square, G, G. So G square, you can put it out. So BGG equal 1. So anyway. But if you start from this beta, you start from a B multiplicative like that, and you make this Q, and then if you make the B from this Q, then as a straightforward exercise, you can see that what the B you get is the square of the beta. But as I said, there are not all of this form. For example, an example of quadratic form which cannot come from a B multiplicative. For example, let G equal the group of cyclic group of two elements modelized like that, but in so the better notation is like that. I already mentioned that, but better notation is C2 for cyclic group of order 2. And of course, this is a model for C2, but C2 is a good name from finite group theory. Okay. So you take this group and you take B to be the non-zero complex number and define Qn to be I is a complex unit, imaginary unit, I power n square. So as an exercise, you can show that this Q is really a quadratic form, but cannot come from a B multiplicative beta. This Q is a quadratic form which cannot be written as beta GG. Okay, and it's time for the pause. Let me just write this way. Okay. And this is exercise. This Q, etc., etc. So pause. Okay. So now the third point is another straightforward property. We will explain. Okay, so what about this third point is, in fact, when you have a quadratic form, you can find, so you have the group G, the map from G to B. In fact, this quadratic form is equivalent to another quadratic form where G is a quotient. So there is a kind of kernel you can with which you can quotient G, and the data you get is similar in the sense that you can come back to the initial Q. So in some sense, this quadratic form you can quotient by a trivial part, and we will see that at least in the odd dimensional case, we will mention without proof, we'll mention as an exercise that in the odd dimensional case, this quotient by the trivial part is non-degenerate. So let Q, so a quadratic form in general, quadratic form and let H be the kernel of the associated B-multiplicative form. So I will define what is the kernel in this way. So H be the kernel of the associated B-multiplicative form. So H, what is H? H is the, we will prove why it is a group, but here it's defined as a set of elements of the group G such that BGH equal 1 for all H in G. So H is defined as a set like that. Why it is a group? So it's a group. So is a group because so you have first one is in H. Why? Because if you take B1H, which is B1H is Q of H divided by Q of 1, Q of H. Q of 1 is 1, so it's 1 for all H in H. So 1 is in H by definition. Now, so the multiplication is stable on H. So B, G1, G2. So take G1, G2 in H. B, G1, G2, H is B, G1H, B, G2H equal 1 if G1, G2 are in H. All H in H. So you really have G1, G2 is also in H. Finally, the inverse. So B, you take G in H, G inverse H equal B1H equal 1 equal also by B multiplicativity BGH B G inverse H. So so G inverse in H if G in H. If G is in H, then BGH is 1. So B inverse H is also 1 for H. So it's a group. Okay. Next. Then. So if you restrict Q to H, you get a group morphism between H and B. Then the restriction of Q to H define so in the paper it's called homomorphism, but in fact, in the language of category, it's better to call that a group morphism. The group morphism chi from H to B. So it's a group morphism. So the first thing to show why it's a group morphism, and second thing to show such that chi H square equal 1 for all H in H. So there are two things to show. So first, why it is a group morphism. So let H1, H2 in H, then one is by definition like that, B H2. G for all G. This is equal to, so by definition of B, QH1G divided by QH1 QG for this one. And for this one, you have the same thing. So QH2G divided by QH2QG. So you can simplify by QG here. You get that. So you get that QH1G QH2 equal QH2G QH1. You get that. Now take G equal H2 and you get Q H1 H2 QH2 equal Q H2 H2 QH1. But this is QH2 square, which is QH2 square by what we showed before. And so you can simplify by QH2 and you get, so you can simplify by QH2 and you get that so QH1 H2 equal QH1 QH2. So you see, as we said before, Q is not multiplicative on G, but it is multiplicative on H. Okay. So Q may not be multiplicative on G, but it is multiplicative on H. Okay. So this is the first point. Here should be a group morphism. Now, why the square is, so here, this guy is Q restricted to H. Okay, so you can, that's why we wrote Q everywhere, because we restrict to H. When we consider here restricted to H. Here it's not restricted to H, because G is not in H. But in this equality, you can replace Q by Chi, no problem. Now, why the square is equal to 1? Next. So 1 is Q of 1 is Q of HH inverse. This is Q of H inverse because Q is multiplicative on H, but Q of H inverse is Q of H, so it's Q of H squared. So it's okay. So we have proved, we have explained the straightforward argument proving this sentence. Next straightforward argument, next straightforward property. Moreover, Q is the pullback. So here it may be more appropriate to call that the lift, because pullback is a notion which is very general in category theory, but here we can see just the lift here, the lift. So I will explain what is this lift about. So Q from G. So let me finish the sentence in blue first. So the pullback, the lift of a quadratic form Q tilde from G quotiented by H0 to B, where H0 is the kernel of Chi. So H0 is not H. H0 is the subgroup of H, the kernel of Chi. Where H0 is the kernel of Chi. So what is the lift we are talking about is the following. So you have G. Then you have the quotient. G quotiented by G. So this is this quotient map. And here you have Q tilde from B. So this Q here, this is, so you can restrict this Q, which is a quadratic form, into a quadratic form here by lifting like that. So you have a map, Q can be written as pi compose Q tilde, where Q tilde is a quadratic form. So you can, in some sense, as I said, you can quotient Q by a trivial part. And as I said, in the odd dimensional case, this Q tilde will be non-degenerate. In general, maybe not. I don't know. I guess no. There should be. There should be easy counterexample. At least I did not check, but at least in the paper they mentioned only for the odd dimensional case. So I suspect it is not true for the even dimensional case. That Q tilde is non-degenerate. So this is the lift here. The lift. Okay. Okay, so what we have, what do we want to show here? We want to show that so what do we want to show? Hmm. Yeah, we want to show that Q tilde is well defined. So we need to show that the value of Q is invariant if you take these two elements in the same class here. So a class here is an element of the form G H0. So this is a class. So there GH, GH, GH prime are in GH0 if GG, sorry, H, H prime are in H0. So we want to show that the value of Q is invariant by if you take two elements in H0, not in H, in H0. So we want to show Q GH equal QGH prime for all H prime in H0. Invariant. But then it will be invariant in the class, so it makes sense. It's well defined to rest. It is well defined. The function is well defined on the class. So on this quotient. Okay, so why this is well defined? So take let H prime in H0. Then B, G, H, K. Okay, and let K in G. Let K in G. So B, G, H, K is equal to B, G, K, B, H, K. But this is equal to B, G, K because H is in H0, in particular it is in H. So you have this is equal to 1 by definition. Equal to 1 since H is in H. So this is equal to that. And then similarly, it is equal to B G H prime K. So it's invariant. This is invariant. You can take any H prime in H0. You will get the same thing because by B multiplicativity, the H part mapped to 1, so it's okay. So you get, so the same argument, you get this equal this. So same argument, you develop, so Q, G, H, K divided by Q, G, H, Q, K equal Q, G, H prime, K divided by Q, G, H prime, Q, K. So you develop and then you simplify by here and here. So you get same thing as before, same idea as before. Q. So Q GH Q GH prime K equal QGH prime QGH K. And now take K equal GH inverse plus the abelian assumption of the group, you get, this implies that QGH equal QGH prime, which means that Q tilde is well defined. Q tilde is well defined. Okay. Okay. So I guess from that it should be straightforward to show. I guess Q tilde is a quadratic form. I guess I did not check that, but it should be very easy to show that Q tilde. So it's well defined, and they remain to show that Q tilde is a quadratic form. So maybe it's immediate. I did not check, but let's put that as an exercise. All what is written in color in this class, in this course, correspond to something which is not written in the paper. So they already have a lot of extra here. So it's okay if I leave this as an exercise. Okay. So now, second subsection in this subsection here, we will specifically talk about the premetric group. So the category of premetric group. So premetric group is an abelian, finite abelian group with a quadratic form as defined before. And we will now go to the direction of the pointed braided fusion category. As we will state later, they are completely characterized by premetric group. So now, the field we want is algebraically closed of characteristic 0. Fix and algebraically closed field K of characteristic 0, and consider the dual of the group G as defined like that. So the group of linear form, of linear character from G, a linear character. If G is abelian, so remember, recall that if G is abelian, then G is isomorphic to G star. So this is not. So it's not a recall, but it is not so easy to prove, in fact. Because in fact, the isomorphism between the two is non-canonical. So it's but non-canonically. So there is a kind of artificial isomorphism between the two. That's why sometimes in the literature people continue to use the notation G star even if it is isomorphic to G. So there is no point to continue to talk about G star because it's isomorphic to G, so you can just say G. But because it is non-canonically isomorphic, and here non-canonically, I guess there is no specific definition of the meaning of canonically, but at least in my knowledge from people from group theory that they are able to find an artificial isomorphism, but not canonical. But I don't know if there is a categorical definition of canonical in that sense. It is not canonical, but there should be. But in my knowledge, I did not check for that. But anyway. Okay. So pre-metric group. Definition. 238. Pre-metric group. A pre-metric group. The pair GQ, where G is a finite abelian group, and Q is a quadratic form. Where G is a finite abelian group, and Q, G2, okay, star like that, is a quadratic form. Quadratic form. And I forgot. So this is called the dual of a G. So in that sense, an abelian group is self-dual. Okay. Okay. But yeah, a non-abelian group cannot be self-dual because if this is a non-abelian, this is still abelian. So this can only apply for can only hold for an abelian group. Okay. So this is a notion of pre-metric group. So if you are interested in the category of all the pre-metric group, you need to define a morphism between pre-metric group. So a morphism, it will be a group morphism which keep the quadratic form. A morphism of pre-metric group G1, Q1, 2, G2, Q2 is a group morphism phi from G1 to G2 such that it keeps the quadratic form as follows. Q2 of phi of G is equal to Q1 of G. For all G in G. Morphism of pre-metric. Okay. G1, sorry. G1. So the notation, there is a notation for a pre-metric group called the curve PM index the field. So metric groups and their morphism form a category denoted PMK in a curved way. PMK like that. Okay, so that's pre-metric group. And now metric group. Metric groups. When it's a pre-metric group where the quadratic form is non-degenerate as we defined before. So let G be a finite abelian group. A quadratic form, yeah, we already defined that. I don't know why they repeat. Because they want to. Okay. Because the quadratic form is non-degenerate if the associated B character is non-degenerate, as we already mentioned, if and only if the induced group morphism is an isomorphism. So you know that G is isomorphic to G star, G dual, but there is no canonical isomorphism. But in fact, you can deduce from B, you can induce from B a group homomorphism between G and G star, and this is an isomorphism if and only if it is non-degenerate. It does not mean that G is isomorphic to G star in that case, because it is always isomorphic to G star. But in the non-degenerate case, you have, in some sense, a canonical isomorphism. At least an isomorphism induced by a B character, so I guess you can call that canonical, but anyway. The quadratic form. Q from G to K star, like that. K, I don't know how, the inverse, the group of non-zero element in the field. K star, I don't know, is said to be non-degenerate, but we already mentioned that before. Degenerate, as mentioned before. So there is no difference here. If it's associated B character by character B from G cross G to K star is non-degenerate. Degenerate. And here you have something new, which means that the induced group morphism from G to G star defined as G map to BG like that. So this linear character. So by B multiplicativity, this is really a linear character. This is really a group morphism. So I am collecting two things. This is a linear character. So this is an element here because of the B multiplicativity, but this is also a group morphism by B multiplicativity. So you have two. Here you consider this part for here, and for this you consider this part. So you consider the multiplicativity on the first component and second component to prove it is here, and then to prove that this is a group morphism. So this group morphism is an isomorphism in the meaning of the non-degenerate case. Is an isomorphism. This is the same as saying that is equivalent to say that this matrix BH is invertible to consider this kind of thing, etc. Okay. So here you have, in some sense, in the non-degenerate case, you deduce a kind of canonical isomorphism between G and G star, even if it is always non-canonically isomorphic. So let me repeat that. It is not the non-degeneracy who implied the existence of an isomorphism, because it always exists. It implies the existence of a canonical isomorphism induced by B. Anyway. Okay. And here, the remark regarding the odd dimensional case and the fact that Q, there is an odd dimensional case here. Yeah, Q tilde is non-degenerate. So the quotient of Q by the vanishing part or something like that, what we call Q tilde, when the group is of odd order, this Q tilde is non-degenerate. So remark 239. So if the order of G is odd, then by remark 237, third point, so which way? This point here, so this is what I said, the quotient, the Q tilde. So by that, so by this point, every quadratic form Q from G to K star like that arises from a non-degenerate quadratic form. On a quotient of G. So, but here the proof of that was not written in the paper, but I did not prepare the proof of that, so I leave it as an exercise. Why Q tilde non-degenerate when the order of G is odd. So you have the Q tilde, which is defined here. And why this is non-degenerate when G is odd. So you have Q tilde, and then from this Q tilde you define B tilde as before, as for B, and you have to show that this B tilde induce an isomorphism between this and the dual of this. I don't know if they want to use this version of non-degenerate or another one, but it was not specified. The proof was not specified. There is no reference, so maybe it's immediate. I did not check, but I leave it as an exercise. Okay. So in the odd dimensional case, as I said, in the even dimensional case, it's not true. And in fact, here they mention an example. In the even dimensional case, this does not hold. For instance, when G equal C2. So let me write the way they wrote, Z over 2Z, which I prefer to C2. And Q of N is -1 power N. So why? Why this is so let me show you why it cannot quotient into a non-degenerate thing. So this is clearly degenerate because you have the B is -1 power N plus M divided by -1 power N -1 power M equal, so B and M equal that, which is equal to 1. So the matrix B N M is of this form. Remember that N and M are the cyclic group of order 2, Z over 2Z. In fact, in this specific case, it makes more sense to consider this model because this is defined, this is well defined up to 2Z anyway. So you have that, and a quotient and a quotient one. So what does it mean by that? 1 to Q. 1 should be here you have the group of order 2. So any quotient should be the group of order 1. So this is non-degenerate. This is already degenerate. So if you want something, if you want a quotient non-degenerate, you go to the only possible quotient like that, but this must be 1. Must be 1. So must be 1. Okay. Wait. This does not hold, for instance, when okay. Anyway, so this is degenerate also, I guess. But what is in fact you have the matrix 1 here, so this is invertible. So it's in that sense it is wait, what does anyway, I'm a bit confused here. Oh, yeah, sure. So here you have that, but no. What you want is that. but the quotient, you have only one. So if you lift, you cannot get -1 here. By this, so it cannot be a lift. Okay. This is non-degenerate, but this is not a lift. You cannot lift into some -1. So not lift with -1, etc. So I leave it like that. Anyway. Okay, so I will stop here. Maybe we need to look at this into more details, but I guess this is the idea. I will not come back to that next time. It's just straightforward. So tomorrow, we will start by the definition of metric group, which is a pre-metric group where the quadratic form is non-degenerate. So see you tomorrow.